My name is JC Ferris. I am the producer, writer, and director of the film Assembly Line of Broken Hearts. It is a short experimental film that takes you through the stages of discrimination. So I have been working at one form or another in the film industry for many, many years. I went to film school and all that. So as anyone who is a female identifying in this industry might know, is that it can be very difficult. And I have many, many examples and stories of discrimination that I've witnessed or that I've personally experienced. And I've had many, many conversations with other people who have been through the same thing. It is just rampant in this industry still. And with that, it's very frustrating, but the older I get, the more I have tried to find my own way of kind of dealing, I hate that word sort of, but kind of dealing with this discrimination instead of just secretly talking about it. I mean, we are all speaking up more and it's fantastic and we should be talking about it. And it's still difficult to do and still have a career in this, even if you speak up. And so with all this frustration and everything, I really just wanted an outlet for all that frustration. And this really is a film for me. It's just something that I wanted to do. It's kind of an added bonus that hopefully other people got something out of it. I really hope that they do. But I wanted to make a film all about feeling certain types of emotion and the roller coaster of emotions that you go through with stages of discrimination specifically. And I really felt I couldn't do that with a regular narrative film. I love experimental film. A lot of my student films were experimental. So I wanted to kind of get back to that. I've done nothing but narrative since college. So I really wanted to do more experimental films. I mean, you are able to push boundaries and try new things that you're not able to do in narrative. And that's why I chose to do it experimental, because I didn't feel that there was any kind of way I could have these emotions come across with a narrative film. It's kind of a metaphor for everybody's going to project their own experiences with it. And some people who may not get whatever getting it means with this type of film is that everybody is going to project their own kind of biases and experiences, which is why I wanted to play with projection with the film. So first of all, this film is absolutely nothing like what I visualized and what I wanted. My original idea was going to cost a lot more money, and it was going to involve about 100 people in about 6 locations. And because it's experimental and me trying to explain it to people, I applied for several grants and stuff like that. I never got any. I got a lot of great feedback and people that were interested, but they just couldn't quite visualize it. And so I had to make a decision, and I was very lucky and blessed that I'm surrounded by some wonderful artistic friends who encouraged me to, let's just do it. What can we do with the resources that we have? And I worked with Soft Cage Films. They are a local nonprofit organization that does social justice-based filmmaking. And I'm a company member there. They are fantastic people who are very supportive. And my great friend there, David Holcomb, is our DP for this project. And he very much was like, what do you want to do? Here's the resources we have. So we rented out this small studio space, and we had 8 hours. And that's the main part with the 4 main actors that you see in there. That's done at the studio, and we only had 8 actors and like 4 crew members, and that's it. And he was able to, you know, he was having a great time playing with the projection and everything like that. And then the rest of the film was shot at their gala, actually. So they have a gala every year to kind of raise money for the company, and I just literally set up a little station with the projection on and a camera and pulled people in to the project and tell them a little bit about what it was about, and everybody was very supportive with it. So that's kind of how it came together. And I love you said about, okay, the striking the balance with, you know, the beauty, but also getting the emotion across. And I really would say every single person who touched this film added something to that. They really did. I came up with a lot of ideas of I came up with all the projections that we used, but at the gala, I let everybody choose which one they wanted and how they were feeling, and based off of that, some people came up with their own movements and things. And I was so lucky to have those 4 main actors who brought a lot, because this is a hard film to explain to an actor, and I had to find a way to get them on board. I'm like, oh, this is about discrimination. I'm sure I want you to bring in what you think discrimination is and how you felt during these different things. And they really brought their own experiences and emotions and went way beyond what I was thinking. And then the other added part I would say is that the composer is a very good friend of mine, Matthew Nicholson, and he knows me really well. We've worked on lots of projects before, and he's never done anything like this before. And we had long conversations of what the score should be and all that. And it was really a difficult project for him. He said that, you know, it was very challenging, but he got to play around with things and do things that he's never got to do before. And but I think he did a great job of kind of navigating the moments that maybe needed a little more, you know, oomph and power to it, to not get too stale. And I would say it is kind of a depressing film, but not too depressing. You know, I hope that people got the progression of things. And I think the score helped tremendously. This film would be nothing without the score. So I would say there's kind of 2 parts for it. So we had one film day at the gala, and all of that I directed. I just came up with ideas of, hey, here's a movement, why don't we try this, type of thing. So all of that, I feel like I premeditated, and I had, you know, a list of things that we didn't get from the original shoot to try out in this space that I thought would work, because we had a little tiny space to work in. And there were some beautiful things that came out of that. They really were. I really got to work with the 4 main actors in the like white studio space. So those are that's kind of the main core of the film. And with those 4 actors, I came up with a lot of different things, and they came up with a lot of different things. So I would say for that part, it was probably like 50-50 they were very open to going there emotionally, and it blew me away. There were a couple moments that I was just like, am I going too far with them? And they laughed at me afterwards after I said that. But they were just so open of like, I may not understand exactly what you're doing, but it's like, I get what it's like to be discriminated against for many reasons. And I was so lucky that they were open to that. A couple of the scenes that I really love with that is there's one with Mary. Yeah, she's one of the main actors, and I let it go on for a really long time, but she has clown experience. So she's used to being full body physical, and she's very comfortable with that. And I knew that, so I wanted to do more movements with her. So I cut off a space. I put like a piece of paper on the ground, a certain place. I'm like, here's what you have. It's like you're stuck in this box, and I want you to go from a 3 to an 8, you know, type of thing. So that's how I kind of was able to direct the actors. And I had to give something tangible for them to grab onto I have my own thoughts of what the structure of the film is. I feel like everybody's going to come with their own take on that. And I think that's beautiful and wonderful. And there's no right or wrong answer. But for the purposes of directing, I came up with a 3-act structure, and I had to choose 3 emotions for them. So the emotions I chose were shock, sadness, and anger. So that's how I was able to direct the actors, by saying, you know, we're in sadness now, or we're in anger now. And I kind of let them go through shock and sadness through most of the day. So when we got to the anger, I felt they would really bring it out more and want to release that. So they mostly came up with a lot of the movements. I'd say it was 50-50, because the part with Mary, I was leading the DP David around, and I just kind of let them get comfortable with each other, and they just kind of floated. It turned into a dance sort of thing that I'm like, I'm just gonna step back and not do anything. And that's part of, I think, being a good director that I really want to work on more, is that you need to know when to step back and just let the actors and your crew do their thing, and something very beautiful can come out of that. I don't know if I call it philosophy, but it's taken me, I think, a very long time to figure out my voice as a filmmaker. And I'm still, I think, struggling with that. And I think I always will. And that's okay. I'm kind of making peace with that. But I do tend to gravitate towards people who are just not comfortable in any kind of situation. They're outside the social norm. They may not be comfortable in their own skin. They may not be comfortable in situations. I'm writing a project right now where somebody's not comfortable with their family. And all these environments where we're told that here's where we should be ourselves and here's where we should be comfortable. And I've kind of never felt that way. And I know other people have felt that way. So I realize that all the films I've done have kind of had that motif to them for some reason. So I'm like, this is just me. This is my therapy. And that's why I do that. So I'm starting to realize that I'm approaching every project, no matter what the genre, of how can I express those kind of emotions and those kind of things through each piece that I do. We are so bombarded with things, of being told that we have to be perfect and that we need a lot of money in order to do these things. And money would be so nice to be able to do your art, but that's not always possible. And it shouldn't dictate your creativity. And for me at least, the only way that I have found my voice as a filmmaker and the type of things that I like to do and I don't like to do is by doing them. I haven't waited around and asked for permission to it. I've done a lot of terrible films, and that's okay. I have learned something from every single film that I've done that has made me grown stronger and stronger. And I think it's just a tremendous thing to do. I mean, it is kind of a cliche of saying, go pick up a camera and do something. It's like, we have cell phones. You have a camera on your cell phone. There's free editing programs online. I mean, I literally learn every single aspect of filmmaking. I've done everything except sound. I won't do sound. I'm too terrified. But you never stop learning. You are a lifelong learner, and you just need to accept that. You need to realize that it is a business. You are an entrepreneur, so it is your job to learn these things, all aspects, so you know how to communicate with everybody. And also, something that I've done in the past that I recommend to a lot of people that I think scoff at it, but do film races. I've done a ton of film races, and they have been one of my favorite films I've ever done has been at a film race. There's 24 hours, there's 48 hours, there's 72-hour film races and stuff like that. It's such a low time commitment and money commitment, and you get so much out of it because you're getting a group of people of like, a lot of people I brought on as crew are like, I don't know if I want to be over here or over here. I don't know if I want to be in camera, if I want to be grip, if I want to be lighting. And I was like, well, try this out for this film, low pressure, it's a film race type of thing. And I went to film school, and I gotta say, actually picking up and doing these film races and pretty much, you know, like goofball, I did a teddy bear film where I'm just like, hey, I'm finding different angles, and what about this, and what about doing this, and you don't even need to show anybody. I have like 3 films I had never seen the light of day, but I learned something from them. So you kind of have to just do it. You can't sit around and talk about it or read it in a book. You can't, you have to just do it. And even if get on any set, I know it's really difficult right now, but when things maybe are a little bit better, get on set in any way possible as a PA, as an extra. I've been a stand-in, I've been an extra massive amount of times, but you can learn so much just by watching the crew and how everybody operates and how they get things done, and ask questions from everybody.